Welcome back to Garage Kei. In this episode we are going to remove an alternator from a DA52V, specifically the white van that is in my possession.
And it looks like it's going to have to be modified straight out of the packet, but what's unusual about that?
Why am I going to do that, you might ask? Well, last night, not actually last night, but the night before I filmed this video, I was driving a friend of mine to the airport. We took a long trip on the highway and went all the way from here, about 2 hours away, and dropped him off at the airport. And then on our way home, the car stopped. Basically what happened was, as we were driving, the dash lights, headlights got dim, and gradually the car was wanting to conk out if I didn't give it revs. As it's an automatic, I couldn't ride the clutch or anything like that, so eventually it just stalled. Luckily we were right at a 7-Eleven, so just sort of rolled across the road and parked, called the roadside assistance. They came and picked up the car and dropped it off for us that night. We caught a taxi back. I think it was like $200 and something, but that was reimbursed by the insurance company, so that was no problem. But it was a nightmare, wasn't much fun at all. That is why I'm removing the alternator today, to diagnose what the problem was.
Here she is. Why did she stop? Well, that's what we need to figure out. This is how the tow truck left it. I need to pull the alternator out. As you can see, the plug has been well, kind of glued in place, so I'll need to dig that out. Two 12mm bolts on the top, and then I think there's a 14 underneath or a 12 underneath down in there that you can't get to from here. From what I can tell, what was actually happening is I was losing power. My dash lights were dim, headlights were dim, burning rubber smell, so that tells me that the bearing on the alternator has seized. Now, I'm not 100% sure that's actually the case, but that's what I'm going for straight away. So alternator out, or at least belt off, so that I can check whether or not the pulley spins or not. So need to do that. 12, yep, take that one and that one. Always good to have a flexible head. Couple of 12s. Right, this shouldn't even be tight really. Let's put it on the correct way. Yeah, not very tight. This nut. Let's use the non-flexible one here. Alright. We're loose. Right. One 12mm bolt. Two 12mm bolts. There we go. That's two. The adjuster. Yeah, the way this works is you pull on this one goes in but not tight. Pull on here and this gives tension to the belt. Then you do up this one and it will lock it in place. Yeah, so that's that. Traditionally, some of these vans have a shroud that covers up this area here. Obviously this one doesn't, because I removed it. It's a pain in the ass. It doesn't do anything. It might stop heat or something coming up, but yeah, I would rather ease of use and put up with the heat than have to pull it out every time I've got a problem down in here, because it wasn't easy to get out. Right, now moving on, we've got one more bolt at the bottom. I have to locate that and undo it. I'll report back whether it's a 12 or a 14. Yep, it's a 14, as I thought. You can get it from here with a long socket and a ratchet.
But if I'm honest, that's not always possible. What is always possible is to use a ring spanner. One of these. If you attack that bolt from the bottom, it comes out really easy.
Undo that. Then we're going to have to worry about trying to get the thing out of here. We'll have to undo this here, which will be a 12mm bolt here. And then we'll have to undo this, which is, I forget, is it 1 or 2 bolts? Before you mess with the electricals, make sure you disconnect the negative side of the battery. Why the negative side? Because if you're swinging your ratchet around and you hit something, then it's not going to spark because you're connecting the negative to the ground and the ground is already negative. So if you touch that and that, nothing will happen. But if you undo the positive first and you hit the frame or the engine or whatever, you're going to get a spark and you don't want that. So undo the negative side. You'll need a 10mm for that. Undo that bolt there, lift it up, tuck it down in there. Then you'll need a 10mm for this bolt here. This one goes directly to the battery, so you don't want to touch any metal with your spanner or anything else while you're undoing it. That's why you undo that first, because you're bound to touch something with the spanner, with the ratchet or whatever you're using to get it undone. That off there. This comes off here. I'm not sure how we're going to get that out of there, probably with a pick. Oh, it's only I've only got 2 wires going into that. Interesting. Interesting. Weird. Okay. Because it's only got 2 wires, I could switch this for a cappuccino alternator. Yes. Right. So a pick. Dig that out, get the plug out, and then wrestle with this thing to try to get it out of here. I can't see, though, what's going on. What I can tell you, though, is that the bearing is actually, like, I can get this belt off. Let's get the belt off and try and get it actually out of there. Let's have a look at the belt, if we can. Oh, we can't.
You actually can't remove that belt because the alternator belt is in behind the aircon belt. So if you want to change belts, you have to undo the aircon belt first. It's only 3 bolts, but they're not easy to get out either.
This belt doesn't actually look that damaged, which is a bit worrying. For those playing at home, it's a T300. That is a bit worrying. Maybe the bearing only seizes when it's hot. That's possible. Or maybe the rectifier, like the internals, died. And not actually this, but that wouldn't explain the rubber burning smell. The car wasn't overheating, so I have to assume that I am assuming that the belt was slipping on this pulley, but was still spinning the water pump. Otherwise, it probably would have overheated. But we'll confirm that by trying to spin the water pump by hand. Let's see, can we actually reach that? Oh yeah, water pump spins very freely and without noise. This spins really freely too, but I mean, I can see bits of burnt rubber on the pulley, so we'll get this out of here anyway. It's obviously not working for whatever reason. Start here. If it's not this, well then, I don't know what it's going to be. Let's get a pick. Got an assortment of picks here that I'll use to dig out this orange shit so that I can get the plug out of here. So if I'm going to a cappuccino alternator, which I believe fits in this, the reason I believe that is because I have a cappuccino alternator in my carry truck. So I'm not sure if I modified anything to get that in there, but if I recall correctly, I didn't. So like all the brackets and everything just sort of lined up. I think the way it was bolted on was different, but like I might have had to use a bolt and a nut rather than some other method. Like, I don't know, maybe it required 2 bolts. I'm not sure, but we'll find out if I decide to go that route.
I'm not sure if I filmed it or not, but I actually fitted a cappuccino alternator to the silver van for a science experiment. it does actually bolt straight in and it works fine. The only thing you run into is that the plug is different. But if you make an adapter or whatever else, no problem. Goes in, charges, no problem at all. Just a tidbit of information. Why would you ever want to do that? There are a lot more options for amperage on the Cappuccino alternator. You can go to a 65 amp for not too expensive. You can go all the way up to 80 amps. They are around $400 plus, but it is actually possible. It's not possible with a standard size and shape Carry or Every alternator. Aftermarket manufacturers just don't offer it in Japan. Maybe you can have one custom made where you live, but not here.
So, still just battling with this silicon shit. Now I'm going to get a pair of pliers. Again, I've got an assortment of pliers. I'm not sure which one I'm going to need. Probably this one, but you never know. Let's go in with these ones and see how we go. So they don't open wide enough. They don't open, or do they? We don't want to damage the wiring. We can destroy the plug. We don't want to damage the wires. Let's try the ones that. Oh! And the plug just explodes. Right. So we need to remember that the white and red goes over here, and the black and white is at the bottom. While we, oh, this is really quite funny. Oh my god. I've never seen that before. Just the plug just disintegrates. Probably because it's got so hot, the plastic's all brittle. Yeah, that's rather comical. I'm going to have to cut the zip tie off. Probably should have done that from the beginning anyway, so I can pull this out of the way. Yep. What about the needle nose? Can we get the needle nose in there to do something, or is it just going to destroy itself? Oh, slip and then pull. Okay, so we got one wire out without damaging it. Can we get, oh, okay. Both wires out. Undamaged for the most part, so that's good. That is absolutely... Don't know if that could have been my problem, but probably not. I need to get my the bolt out of the bottom of this, so I'm going to put the camera down, do that, and then we'll have a look at how we're going to try and get this thing out of here. Okay, pushing the alternator forward after undoing the bottom bolt has revealed a bolt there. See that one? Undo that, and then there's another bolt at the end of my finger, just here. Undo that, or maybe just loosen them both, and then this arm will swing out of the way. Undo this bolt here, this piece will come off, and then I'll have a clear section, clear area, hopefully be able to pull it out this way. Once you get this bolt undone, you'll be able to flip this upside down, squeeze these, and then remove this piece from the car. Actually, I don't know if you need to even do that, just bend it out of the way. Right, so we've got quite a bit of space here. I just need to undo that top one there. This one's already loose at the bottom. I don't think I'll even undo it all the way, because getting it back in will probably suck. What I used was 2 extensions and a 12mm for reaching to the moon like that. Alright, that's how I did that. This is turning into a how-to. All looks pretty good in here. What doesn't look good though is the that transmission fluid line is extremely wet. So I suspect that is leaking, and that will be why the top of my gearbox is completely covered in shit. Probably spraying from this line here, which is the return or the feed from the oil cooler.
Actually, I think that was caused by the previous owner overfilling the transmission and it spewing out the dipstick because I was on the highway doing 7 million RPM.
Right, back to this. Got to get to that bolt there, and then we'll be able to pull this out, I think. Yep, once you remove that bolt, this becomes very floppy indeed. So hopefully we'll be able to find a sweet spot where we can bend it out of the way or something and get this out of here. But the more that I sort of swing it around, the more room I'm getting, and I'm thinking I'm just going to remove this bolt because now it's a lot easier to get at. Just undo it and then remove the yeah, well, see, just get that out of there. Bye. It's good to see that I think like every bolt, not that one, almost every bolt that I've removed got anti-seize on it. So I've been able to do this whole thing with just the tools you see here, and some of them I haven't even used yet. Right, we are free. Can we get it out? Oh yeah, check it. Oh, okay. Well, we're very, let's put it in the light. You can see it. We're completely covered in like what looks to be burnt rubber. We have it does spin, so it's actually not seized as I thought it was, but the fact that it's all covered in rubber like that means that it's not going back in the car. I was kind of hoping I'd pull it out of the car and this wouldn't spin at all, because then it would be definitive that this is the actual problem. But I mean, the fact that it's covered in what looks like rubber is and the fact that I didn't have any power last night, the lights were dimming. This is not going back in the car anyway. So that's the end of that. And that's pretty wild. I'm gonna try and get that out of there. You know, it's weird the amount of fight this put up in the car, but if I just do this, it's actually, oh, one-handed is just never good. Different tool. All these tripods, and I try to do it with one hand. There we go. She's out. So it's actually a 3-pin alternator, but they're only using 2 of the 3 pins. Now I wonder if that's actually from factory or whether it's been modified by the previous owner. I don't actually know. I could check the wiring diagram, but I just want this thing fixed. Works with 2 wires, will run with 2 wires. Well, didn't work with 2 wires, did it?
And that is the end of this episode. Thank you very much for watching all the way to the end. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button. If you'd like to see what happens next, press the subscribe button. If you'd like to support this channel, you can do that by getting your name on the Garage Kei door. Details on how to do that are in the description, along with a link to the Teespring store where you can pick up some merch, maybe a Garage Kei t-shirt or a hoodie, and rock that while you're driving your cool Kei car. I will see you in the next episode. Later.